We have just covered part of it, so I guess we didn't cover it. So far we have covered the two tasks. Third one is mainly focused on capacity and innovation, how to develop the competitiveness of Chinese higher education, and also the contribution through innovation to the overall society. Okay. Three minor goals was developed. One is the world-class university and disciplines. Actually, it has been a long dream of China. Okay. Maybe you have heard about the 211 project and later on the 985 project. These projects were all aimed to develop world-class universities. But of course, we have some world-class universities already, like Peking University, Tsinghua University, Zhejiang University, Fudan University, are not adequate enough. So we would like to have more world-class universities and disciplines. Some fields of study needs to be world-class, and the main approach is through cooperation, through borrowing or collaborating with international universities. Second is to promote international collaborative innovation, mainly through joint laboratories and research centers. Okay. I learned that a couple of international renowned universities like Cambridge University, Oxford University, they are going to run their research centers in our neighboring province, in Jiangsu province. Okay. This, of course, is aimed at increasing the research capacity for the international community as well as for the localities. Jiangsu, for example, is very much innovation-driven. They have very advanced technologies and sciences. So this is the reason why Oxford and Cambridge are going to establish their laboratories and research centers there. And also the faculty team, okay, is to develop the high-level faculty team through international recruitment and training. Okay, to send the teachers, the faculty members to study abroad through government and institutional arrangement, and also by recruiting overseas Chinese who studied there maybe for many, many years. Task 4 is related to the third pillar of our diplomacy, people-to-people and cultural exchanges. The focus is to enhance the mechanisms so that it is sustainable. It is a regular mechanism rather than it's once for all arrangement. And to increase the connection of communications among languages. Okay, as I said, one of the top 5 most urgently demanded talents is the talents for non-universal languages. So this is in relation to that goal. Okay, is to increase the connections among languages, and also it's to disseminate China stories and voices through overseas Chinese students. We have still more than 2.5 million students studying abroad. Okay, they are really, the bridges, the cultural bridges of China and the rest of the world. So they will be also empowered and entrusted to send China stories and also voices. The 5th task is to extension the developed opportunities and spaces. This, of course, has something to do with the governance, the international governance of education, by sending more, people to work in international organizations, including, of course, educational organizations and regional organizations. And also to play a kind of role in decision making for policy harmonization in the world. And also China wants to play an even bigger role in international assistance. Task 6 it relates to the One Belt and One Road initiative. Is to implement the Education Action Plan for the promotion of One Belt, One Road initiative. This is mainly through the training of students and also the training of teachers. So that's why there are several schemes under this action plan. One is the Silk Road scholarships. It is to provide 10,000 students per year for One Belt, One Road countries. That's already a big number. But as the countries that are involved in this Belt and Road initiative is increasing, so I guess the number of scholarships will be also on the rise. And also, the second one is the preparation of talents for non-general languages. Again, non-general languages. And regional and country studies. So these areas have been identified as the focuses of cooperation in the future. Because of time restriction, I'm going to skip the next document, Education Action Plan for the Promotion of One Belt, One Road Initiative. I will leave this PPT to you. I will skip this document. Instead, I will go directly to some other new developments. The second new development or pattern is to take education as a very important part of the high-level bilateral and multilateral mechanism for cultural and people-to-people exchanges. This is actually a new development. In the last 15 years, China has worked very closely with some countries, some regions for that mechanism. By high level, I mean it is chaired by the vice premier. Okay, so the high level bilateral multilateral mechanism, usually it's an arrangement between two governments or a Chinese government and regional government on cultural and people-to-people exchanges. China-Russia, that's the earliest. China-US, China-UK, China-EU, France, China-Indonesia, China-Germany, and China-South Africa this year. It usually covers the exchange of students, scholars, and also joint research work, policy dialogues in education, policy dialogues in quality assurance, and also the recognition of qualifications. So it covers quite a range. I'm going to give you two examples. One is with China-South Asia people-to-people and cultural exchange programs, which was actually declared by President Xi Jinping in 2014. In the 5 years following 2014, there will be some major collaborative initiatives. One is to provide 10,000 government scholarships for South Asia countries in 5 years, 10,000, and also 5,000 exchange and training opportunities for youth. Okay, youth is a big part in that arrangement, and also the training of 5,000 Chinese language teachers for South Asia countries. And also, according to this mechanism, there will be the implementation of the China-South Asia Science and Technology Partnership Program. These are the key elements in this people-to-people and cultural exchange program. And Pakistan is one part of it. And with Pakistan itself, in the year 2015, when President Xi Jinping visited Pakistan, he announced in 2015 that in 5 years, there will be some focuses in education cooperation and exchanges, human resources, training, youth exchanges, and also in some other arrangements. So human resource development, for example, in 5 years, there will be 2,000 professionals training for Pakistan. 5 years. In average, it's 400 a year. And also the training of 1,000 Chinese language teachers. Youth exchanges, 100 per year. So this, you see, is very much in parallel with the mechanism with South Asian countries. And also, also the encouragement to have more cooperation in China-South Asia people-to-people and the cultural exchange program. So these are the very highlights of that. And beyond that, we have some other, also some important arrangements. One is the government scholarships. In the academic year, 2016 to 2017, there will be about 2,000 government scholarships for Pakistan students. So that's the recent release of the statistics by our embassy in Pakistan. So it's 2,000. Research cooperation. In 2016, there are 16 key projects between the National Science Foundation Council and the Pakistan Science Foundation. And these 16 projects cover 3 main areas: agriculture and biotechnology, earth sciences, engineering, and material science. So altogether, 16 projects. Okay. Language connections, Confucius Institute in the classrooms, and also the teaching of Urdu. Some universities in China also offer programs in Urdu. And also, several years ago, there's an initiative to establish a Pakistan-China University of Engineering and Technology. It is still in progress. Actually, a cohort, a consortium of 6 Chinese universities were involved. Tsinghua University is one of them. Altogether, 5 universities are offering degrees, programs in that, under the name of Pakistan-China University of Engineering and Technology. Country studies. Okay, there's a big interest for Chinese universities to develop country study centers of Pakistan. At this moment, we have 3 Pakistan research centers in China. Okay, one is in Beijing, Peking University. Peking University has a Pakistan research center. In Jiangsu, there's a Jiangsu Normal University. And in Sichuan, there's a Sichuan University. So these 3 universities have established research center, Pakistan Research Center. And also, Zhejiang Normal University has established a center, research center, for Pakistan-China Economic Corridor. Okay, this is a new cooperative initiative between China and Pakistan. So they have a research center for that in Zhejiang Normal University. So these are just some of the main arrangements between China and Pakistan in terms of education cooperation under the title of people-to-people and cultural exchanges. And we have this kind of arrangements with many regional organizations: China Arab States Cooperation Forum, China Central Asia, China and the Central Eastern and China Central and Eastern European countries cooperation mechanism. So they all have a very important part of educational cooperation. That's the second one. Third, so now we have a very much emphasis on the preparation of the 5 types of urgently needed talents and regional and country studies. So as I said, for Chinese students studying abroad and for international students studying China, so we have the government scholarships to support the preparation of these types of talents. So I would like to quote on the progress in the year 2015. For example, in non-general language talents, so in 2015, China sends out close to 1,000 students to 33 countries on 38 non-general languages in 1 year. Okay, in 2015. And also for international organizations, students or talents who are capable of working in international organizations. So the ministry sends out 23 internships in UNESCO, United Nations, etc. Okay? And talents for country and regional studies, in the year 2015, there's accumulated a number of 42 study centers. Okay? And 16 scientists were sponsored to 10 countries and regions for that type of study. Okay? That's the third type. The fourth is top-notch innovative talents. So in 2015, we have introduced the Future Scientists Project. It's managed by the Ministry of Education, and also the Ministry of Science and Technology. Okay, mainly through the sponsorship of Chinese government scholarships. The fifth category is the outstanding international students. So also a high-level postgraduate scholarship project for international students has been introduced. Okay, under that scheme, the so-called high-level postgraduate scholarships, in the year 2015, 140 students were sponsored for some 30 neighboring and African countries, mainly for developing countries. So that's the preparation of 5 types of urgently needed talents. And the fourth big development is in qualification recognition. At this moment, China has still very limited international recognition of qualifications and degrees. So up to now, we have 46 countries and regions that are already in agreement with China to acknowledge Chinese degrees and Chinese qualifications. Still very limited, but China is working very hard on that through bilateral educational cooperation, through policy dialogues in quality assurance. Okay, so this is on the rise, but at this moment we have only 46. And then about students studying abroad. So I have used a diagram to show the increase of Chinese students studying abroad. Actually, I just want to make several points. So first, we can see the number of students studying abroad in the year 2016. So over 500,000 students study abroad in the year 2016, 540,000 students study abroad in the year 2016. But you can see how many students returned in that year. In 2016, more than 400,000 students returned. Okay, this of course is a cumulative number. Some of the students actually maybe they started their studying experience well before that. Okay, so and also the gap between the students who are studying abroad and those who are returning is getting closer. It's getting closer. Okay, this is the first point I would like to make. The second is here. Ever since the year 2000, the increase rate is much higher than before. You may wonder why. Okay, you might wonder why this is such a big increase ever since the year 2000. Okay, as I said, this is the year when China regained access to the World Trade Organization. By being a member of the World Trade Organization, you have to make commitments in education services. Okay, China is actually one of the countries that made the broadest commitment in the education openness and encourage our students to study abroad. So this is the main reason. And the second important reason is, again, as I said, is the massification of higher education ever since the year 1998. It is part of the spin-off effects of that policy, okay, to massify the higher education. So that's why there's a great increase of students studying abroad. Okay, so this is just the increase of students studying abroad. So, and by the year 2016, there are a total of 4.5 million students study abroad. Okay, 4.5 million Chinese students abroad since the year 1978. 1978, as I said, is the year when China reopened. Okay, 4.5 million students study abroad. But how many have returned? By 2016, a total of 2.65 million has returned. Okay, which means close to 2 million has not returned yet. Okay, so you could see the problem of the brain drain. But from the previous diagram, we could see an increasing number of students are returning. They think that the opportunities for their career in China is far greater than elsewhere. So they keep coming back, And also, here are some figures about Chinese students in some selected countries. In the United States, let's take the academic year, 2015 to 2016, for example. They have attracted more than 1 million international students. 328,000 are from China, which represents 31.5%. And this number does not include students from Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. If these three regions are accounted, then that percentage is somewhere around 40%. So, which means every 10 students in the United States, 4 of them are from China.
Can you explain to us how many of these 328,000 of them are on scholarship, and how many of them went abroad just for not getting placement in universities in China according to their expectations. Because the students from China who we studied together, they said they could not uh, find a position in universities, get admission to universities, so they prefer to study abroad.
Mm. So I'll come up with that.
Yeah.
I'll come up to that. Okay. I'll show you. Okay. So it's a big percentage. A big percentage. But also in the UK, for example, over 26%. Okay. Japan 40%. South Korea close to 30%. Germany 10%. Australia 30%. And France 11.7%. So big percentage of Chinese students. But how many students are studying our government scholarships? Okay. So here, in 2016, 91.5% are self-supporting students, which means only less than 9% are government scholarship students. Okay. So you could see they study on their own. They study on their own. But on the other side, you know, the reason why would, in comparison with some other countries, here you see, here, over 90% of the students in the year 2016 are mainly studying in 10 destination countries: United States, UK, Australia, etc. 80% of them are studying in English-speaking countries. And 70% of them study for degree programs. So which means high level. And also, which means 20% are not studying for degree programs, which means they are still preparing for university education. So that's why we have 22.6 are middle school leavers. They are not ready for university education yet, but they are preparing in the United States for university educations. So you may wonder why, you know, as I said, you know, the students are very focused markets, okay, very focused, you know, countries of study. You know, basically, of course, language is one issue. Okay, it's relatively easier for them to have training inside China for English. And secondly, of course, they ask the value of the money. Okay, if they study in the United States, the UK, and Australia, it's far easier for them to get a job after they complete their degree and come to find for jobs. It's relatively easy. So we said the value of that hard currency is a bit higher than, for example, to study in France, in Germany, in Korea, South Korea, and in Japan. So this is actually a big difference. There. And also, you will see the fast growth rate. So ever since the year 2008, annual growth rate is 20%. So the same is true with the United States. So the vast majority of them are self-supporting students. And the scholarship students who are studying in the United States are mainly for the doctorate studies, even postdoctorate studies. So that's why the government scholarships in the United States, the number itself is not that high, the high levels, doctorate, postdoctorate. Okay. Actually, China pledged to send 10,000 doctorate students to study in the United States in 5 years since the year 2010. So between 2010 to 2015, the government sent out 10,000 students for doctorate degrees. So, but in relation to that half, close to 400,000, it's less insignificant. Okay. So this is the main patterns, of the students studying abroad. What about international students in China? So this shows how it has been on the increase from the year 2007 to 2016. So first, we can see from this diagram, the increase is very stable and consistent. Okay? Every year, you see, there's a very consistent and a stable increase of students studying in China. So in 2016, there were a total of 442,000 international students. Okay, as I said, our target is to have 500,000, 500,000 international students by the year 2020. So which is not far away, not as far away, and we're quite sure, that this goal will be fulfilled based on the existing trends and growth rate. Then what about the patterns? First, again, rapid growth, very rapid growth. In the year 2016, students, or that number of students come from 205 countries and regions. Okay, more than 10% increase over 2015, and 35% over the year 2012. So, also, rapid growth, rapid, consistent, and stable. And if you look at the structure of the students, 89% of them are self-funded, 11% are government scholarships. So, which means, in comparison with the students who are studying abroad, we have a much higher percentage of government scholarships for those who are studying in China. Okay, 11%. Okay, and also more and more students are studying for degrees. As I said, we have only now 46 countries that have entered an agreement with China to recognize the Chinese qualifications and degrees. So, still, for students to study for degrees is still limited. In the year 2016, there were about 47% of them are studying for degrees, but it's on the increase. In 2010, it's only 40, but it's increasing. So the majority of students come here for placement, like 1 year, 2 year placement program. Field of study, okay. Almost half of them study for the liberal arts, mainly Chinese language. But also it's interesting to notice that 11% of them study for medical sciences. I guess it's mainly the traditional Chinese medical sciences, acupuncture, etc. About 10% of them are studying for engineering, 1% in sciences. So that's quite, in liberal arts, many languages, Chinese language. Source countries, 70% of them are from neighboring countries and African countries. Neighboring and African countries. I will show you this. This is a list of the top 10 source countries of international students in China. South Korea, USA, Thailand, and Pakistan. Pakistan is the 4th largest source countries for international students in China, followed by India, Russia, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Japan, Vietnam. So here, excluding USA, the rest are all neighboring countries. So neighboring countries and African countries, that makes the biggest part of international students in China. Pakistan is over 18,000 students. Okay, among them, only 2,000 are government scholarship students. Okay, so and also you will see this is a breakdown of international students in China in 2016 across 5 continents. So you see the biggest part, okay, Asia, 265,000 students, which represents for 10%. Followed by Europe, Africa, America, and Oceania. But in terms of increase, Africa has the biggest increase. In 2016, there's a over 23% increase of African students to study in China. Followed by Oceania, 13%, and Asia, 10%. Okay, so that's for the international students. And also, one more pattern is about the international cooperation. The joint education programs, which is a very much a focus in the previous 15 years. It is mainly used as a tool to improve the quality and the offerings of higher education sector. So that in 2002, we have only 712 joint programs and institutions approved by the Ministry of Education. But by 2016, you see, we have already over 2,469 institutions and programs that are of a joint nature between Chinese universities and foreign universities. Up to now, 7 joint universities have established in China. 7 joint universities. Ningbo Nottingham is the earliest. Shanghai, New York, it's a university between Huadong, East China Normal University, and the New York State University. It's called the Shanghai, New York University. Kunshan Duke University. Duke University has run joint university in Jiangsu. Kunshan is in Jiangsu province, so it's called the Kunshan Duke University. And also Wenzhou Ken University. Wenzhou is the third largest city in this province. Okay, Wenzhou University is in collaboration with the Ken University in the United States. So we call it Wenzhou Ken University. And some more, of course, altogether 7. And there are going to be some more coming, like the Shenzhen Moscow University. Okay, it's a joint initiative between the university in Guangzhou and the Moscow University. Guangdong is Israel University of Technology. Okay, it's between the Israel University of Technology and the local university in Guangdong. So there will be more joint universities, but the Chinese government is very selective on that. Is very selective on that. So it has to be, a note of quality higher education. So which means it has to be, more or less an elite university. Maybe this is just an example. Wenzhou Ken University is an, an exception. Ken University, maybe you have not heard about it. Okay, actually, it's a joint initiative between Zhejiang, this province, and Indiana, the state of Indiana, because we are sistership, states and a province. So it's a joint initiative between our province and the state of Indiana. So this gives the ground to Wenzhou Ken University, okay, though it is not as renowned as Duke, New York, or Nottingham. Okay. And among all the programs and institutions, 1,212 are offering undergraduate and postgraduate programs. Okay, some are for training. Okay, for diploma programs, but not leading to a degree. But over 1,200 are offering undergraduate, postgraduate. Okay, and as I said, these joint programs are introduced to enrich our program offerings, to have more diversity for fields of study. So they offer more than 200 fields of study. Okay, some are actually not in existence in our education system. Okay, so they serve as a complementary, as a good complement, okay, to the existing national education, higher education system. In multiple forms, okay, which means some of them are training arrangement, some of them are articulation, some of them are in franchising, okay, arrangement. But mainly, it is in the nature, in the joint nature, okay. A co-curriculum has to be developed. The Chinese element has to be integrated into this kind of joint education arrangement. Otherwise, there's no possibility. This is very much to protect, we call it the ideological safety of the education system. You can come to provide your services, but you have to make it adaptable to the local environment. You have to follow the local principles. Okay. So, multiple form. Total enrollments in these joint education programs. So we have 550,000 students are studying for these joint programs, joint education programs. Okay, and up to now, 830 higher education institutions from 36 countries and regions are involved, and 720 Chinese higher education institutions are involved. We have over 2,000 higher education institutions and in China. A third of them are involved in such collaborative arrangement, and a third of them are involved in that arrangement. So it's a big practice. It's a big practice in here. Then Confucius Institutes. Confucius Institutes. In the year 2016, there are over 500 Confucius Institutes and 1,000 Confucius classrooms. 1,000. Then you might wonder, what's the difference between the Confucius Institutes and the Confucius classrooms? Okay, there are some interesting points to note. Confucius Institutes usually is again a collaborative effort between one Chinese university, one education institution, and one foreign education institution. It has to be in cooperation. Okay? And secondly, usually the Confucius Institutes are established in the university level, the higher education level, while the Confucius classrooms are mainly in the middle schools, the primary schools, and even in the radio broadcasting system. So for the radio broadcasting system, we use the term Confucius classroom. In Pakistan, for example, there's one Confucius classrooms based on the radio services. Okay, so Confucius classroom. But again, we can see the trend. The growth rate is stable, but it's gradually coming down. Not that fast in the early ages. So growth rate is under control, and then that's the first. The second, there are more Confucius classrooms than Confucius institutes. okay, because they are more manageable than Confucius institutes. Here you can see the number of Confucius classrooms even double that of the Confucius institutes, right? And it's still increasing so much. The Confucius classrooms are increasing much faster than the Confucius institutes. Okay, and this is mainly due to, I say, the easy accessibility and more capable of handling. And so all these Confucius institutes and Confucius classrooms spread over 140 countries and regions. Okay, it's not something that we post upon others. It is very much a joint initiative, and it is applied through the Confucius headquarters, Confucius Institute headquarters. And altogether, there are 2.1 million enrollments for all the Confucius classrooms and institutes worldwide. 2.1 million, okay, enrollments. 46,000 teachers are involved, both Chinese and foreign. Okay, and now up to now, 67 countries and regions have included the teaching of Chinese into their national education system. Okay, they offer consistent programs in teaching Chinese as a foreign language into their school curriculum.
Professor, I have not very much clear about this Confucius institutes and classes. Do you mean the Chinese language, or do you mean the Confucius ideas, thoughts, philosophy?
Good question.
Any system, school system.
Yeah. Confucius is just by the name. Okay, mainly the majority of the Confucius institutes are something to do with the language and culture, but some of them relate to business. We have business Confucius institutes. We have Confucius institutes of traditional medical science. So it won't be necessary, language and culture. But basically, it is the idea of language and culture to bridge, cultural exchanges between the target country and China.
So Confucius was a person.
Yes, it's one of the most well-known philosophers in China.
So how can we relate one person with a language, one person with a culture?
Confucius is a symbol of Chinese culture. Many of our ideas that are still prevalent in the Chinese society come from his thoughts. So it's very influential in the Chinese history in terms of culture and philosophy. So it is regarded as a symbol of Chinese culture. That's why we call it Confucius. Just like Goethe Institute in Germany, the same. Okay? So it's a symbol of China. And Confucius is widely known, I think, throughout the world. So that's why we call it Confucius Institutes. Okay? Right?
Doctor, when we discuss the culture, there is a prominent question about the culture is always related with religion.
Mm-hmm.
What is the exact religion is prevailing in the China particularly? Is there any specific religion, or you don't believe in religion, or what sort of thoughts you have?
The most popular religion in China is Buddhism. Buddhism. Why? Some of the ideas are very similar to Confucius philosophy. Very similar to Confucius philosophy. This is the first I would like to make. So, Buddhism is by far the most popular, and the government allows multiple religion in China. So you can feel free to believe in whatever religion. Okay, Taoism. Okay, Muslim. Okay, Christianity, Christian. Okay, we have many believers in this province or Christianity.
Ratio. What's the ratio exactly?
I do not. I do not have that.
I like to know about it that Buddhists are in a majority.
Majority. I thought a majority. I think it should be over 70%. This is my own judgment. Okay, my own perception. I do not have that.
But in government affairs, your day-to-day official business, religion is away from that exercise.
Which
Day-to-day official business, government business.
yeah, it's
religion is away from.
It's away from. It's away from. So it's anyway, you know, the Confucian Institute are different from, but it reflects some key elements, because even Buddhism, when Buddhism was introduced from India, they were made it adaptive to the local environment. So we call it localized Buddhism. Okay, some of the Confucian ideas were integrated into the Chinese Buddhism. And later on, this Chinese Buddhism served as an origin to the Japanese Buddhism, the South Korea Buddhism. So this goes around. Cross-border higher education by Chinese higher education institutions, which means Chinese higher education institutions offer programs abroad. Okay, as I said, 102 institutions programs offered by Chinese higher education institutions abroad. Very limited. It's a new development, but many universities are interested in delivering their programs abroad, in operating abroad. Zhejiang Normal University, for example, they are offering a master's program in education leadership in Singapore. They have hundreds of students there in Singapore. Okay. Some of the universities, just give you some examples. 2011, Suzhou University is in Jiangsu province. They established their university in the Laos. It's been a very success. And 2016, Zhejiang University established its branch campus in London, in the Imperial College. Okay. 2013, Yunnan University of Finance and Economics established the Bangkok Business School, Bangkok in Thailand. Xiamen University, a Malaysia branch campus. Tongji University in Shanghai, a branch campus in Italy, France. And Tsinghua University in the United States. They call it the Global Innovation Exchange. Okay. Just 2 years ago, Beijing Normal University established a Cardiff Chinese College in collaboration with the Cardiff University. So some of them are established their branch campuses or even universities abroad. In the case of Pakistan, as I said, a consortium of 5 universities are working with the university in Pakistan for the Pakistan-China University of Engineering and Technology. Okay, so this is very much new, very new. Okay, very new. It started only in the year 2011, and this is also quite, characteristic to China. The whole process of China's reform and opening up is very cautious. According to Deng Xiaoping, we cross the river by feeling the stones. We do not want to play big risks. We need to cross the river by feeling the stones. Like when the light's out, I have to cross this corridor by feeling the tables. Okay, which means for every practice to be implemented in a much wider society, we run pilot projects simply to gain experiences, to learn from pitfalls. So even in internationalization, we have pilot projects. So the Ministry of Education has introduced altogether 21 pilot projects for the internationalization of higher education. Okay, for example, in Shanghai, they are entrusted to run a pilot project to introduce the quality assurance mechanism through accreditation. As I said, in this society, we do not have accreditation for education. We only have evaluation. But Shanghai is authorized to run this as a pilot project. Okay, but now it is successful, so that now, it's taken over by the National Association for Educational Exchanges and Cooperation. Zhejiang, for example, I mentioned this. Zhejiang is authorized to have the approval reform for joint education. Previously, for any undergraduate programs, we have to go to the ministry for approval. Okay, but now, for any university in this province to run a joint degree, they can go directly to the Department of Education of the provincial government. Decentralized that. Okay, and Guangxi is is one of our southwestern provinces, neighboring with a number of countries. So they are authorized to run a platform of international cooperation and exchange with regional characteristics, because anyway it's close to a number of neighboring countries. So they are authorized policy-wise and practice-wise to run on their own. They're authorized. Okay, they're authorized. So as a province neighboring with the countries, we want to see what endeavors, what exercises, what practices, what policies can be developed in order to encourage, educational cooperation. So these are the pilot projects. So 21 pilot projects for it. And also, China is quickly increasing its profile worldwide, both in terms of international governance, but also in terms of development purposes. For example, China is working with many developing countries in terms of human resource development. Because to China, the biggest success ever since reform China and opening up is to turn the burden of population into resources of human resources. I think this is the biggest change ever since the reform and open. We have 1.3 billion. The population is 1.3 billion. It is already a big challenge to feed them and provide houses and shelter for them. But how to turn this big burden into the potential driving forces of the country's development? This is very high on the agenda. Okay, so human resource development has been regarded as one of the most important basis for this sustainable development of China's economy. And China is now sharing its experience with cooperative countries. So that's why human resource development is a key pillar in educational cooperation with developing countries, and also with regional and international organizations. I will show you how China is working with Africa in terms of human resource development. In Africa, actually, many people would say the bottleneck for its development lies first, its shortage for infrastructure. Second, shortage for capital to support the development. Third is the shortage for human resources. So when China works with China, a big focus is for human resource development. So in the year 2000, China and African countries established the China-Africa Cooperation Forum, which has been in existence till now. And every 3 years, there's a ministerial conference between China and the members of this forum. So in the first ministerial conference, there's no hard goal. It only says we will cooperate on human resource development. But in reality, within 3 years, China helped to train 7,000 high-level professionals for African countries. And this is followed by a much faster growth of number. Okay, so that in the sixth ministerial conference in 2015, there's a pledged goal of the training of 40,000 high-level professionals for African countries. Okay, so this is a big part, and many of the human resource development projects are based in the universities. For example, Zhejiang Normal University has 2 centers for human resource development. One is the center entrusted by the Ministry of Commerce. The second is Human Resource Development Center entrusted by the Ministry of Education. So human resource development. And then working with international organizations. For example, China contributes to some international organizations. NEPAD is the New Partnership African Development Project. Contributes 1.5 million. And the UNESCO also 2 million per year from 2015 to 2015. And in 2015, it is extended for another 2 years. So China's made consistent contributions to international organizations for education development worldwide. One more element is the overseas and international talents. The introduction of overseas and international talents. First is foreign teachers and experts in Chinese higher education. In 2016, there are over 600,000 experts working in China, and a big number of them in higher education sector. We have regular plans to, introduce foreign teachers and experts. High-level overseas Chinese talents. I have, somehow explained this, but now, not only the central government, but the provincial government and even the regional government have developed schemes, platforms to attract the high-level overseas Chinese by offering, for example, tax incentives, by offering, supports to their startups in a science park. For example, in Hangzhou, in the city of Hangzhou, we have 2 science parks dedicated to the overseas Chinese, the high-level overseas Chinese. We offer office space to them. We offer financial support to them. We offer tax incentives to them. We offer houses or apartments for them so that they will come and establish their research centers, businesses. They bring in their technology patent. Okay, so now we have 2 parks in the city of Hangzhou. So to attract them, right? And also textbooks and teaching material. This is also a key element. Okay. But textbooks and teaching material, as a socialist country, of course, these imported textbooks have to be under scrutiny. Okay, scrutiny. All right. So, but anyway, we are introducing them, and also local initiatives. So far, I'm talking more about the central government. Okay, some of of the institution. But the local governments also have their own initiatives. Like Zhejiang province, for example, we are also offering government scholarships for international students and also for our students. Okay, the government allocate some fund, okay, to attract international students. Okay, especially through a sistership arrangement. As a province, so for example, I myself is now mainly responsible for developing international partnerships with provinces, with states, with cities abroad. So at this moment, this province is now working with 65 international partners. Okay, so the government scholarships is integrated into this scheme, sistership. We call it city-to-city, intercity sistership partnerships. And also internationalization strategy. In the year 2010, this province developed a strategy for 10 years for the internationalization of higher education. And we developed a system of index to measure, to evaluate the universities on their progress. And we rank the universities on the internationalization of higher education by publishing a report. Okay. So this is the annual report I initiated. Okay. You have all the statistics there, the rankings, the progress of internationalization of higher education in the province. Okay. So these are the local initiatives. And also, internationalization as a research field. This is also a new development. We have some research institutes dedicated to internationalization or trade in education services. And we have now many dissertations and publications on that, and regular symposiums and seminars to promote internationalization as a practice for higher education. Okay. So, to conclude, I would like to mention some trends that I have observed. Okay, one is it is very clear. Education is regarded as the fourth dimension of diplomacy. Okay, education, especially higher education, has been increasingly integrated into the third pillar of the Chinese diplomacy, which is people to people and cultural exchanges. So this is very clear, a systematic approach, okay, a very determined inclusion of higher education into this mechanism. Number one. Second, from quantity to quality. Okay, in the previous years, the key word is enlarge. The more, the better. Okay, but now we are moving to quality-driven internationalization. Okay, so this is from the discussion. I think everybody can come to that conclusion. The third is from scale and scope, efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, from the 2S to the 2Es. Okay, to see how they are contributing. The effectiveness as a catalyst, to bring more changes to the existing system. So this is the purpose. Okay, this is the purpose. To make it stronger, to make it more visible. Okay, so from scale and scope to efficiency and effectiveness. And this is also a very clear trend, the support for world-class universities and disciplines. Without internationalization, how can you develop world-class universities and disciplines? So this is also very clear. And also cooperation in quality assurance and qualification recognition. As I said, China is still as not a very high profile in international higher education. So in order to increase the visibility and the profile, first, we need to have the mutual recognition of quality assurance mechanisms, and then we need to have the recognition of qualifications. So this is will be done through bilateral and multilateral arrangement. Okay? And next one is B&R, Belt and Road Education Action Plan, for which Pakistan is a big part of it. So One Belt and One Road Education Action Plan is now taking its full-fledged.
PhDs are being prepared for B&R education action. I think there are so many Chinese are getting PhD.
Yes.
In B&R education.
Exactly. Exactly. Better governance. Better governance, which means we need a better legal system for internationalization inside China, and we also want to play a big role internationally for a better governance of international education. Okay, so this is more or less what I can say about that. So here's my email. If you have any questions, if you have any interests in developing, for example, cooperative relations between Zhejiang and maybe your affiliated region, you can invite me. I'm still using the university email. Okay, so you're welcome. So I previously worked in this institute. So thank you. So my colleague is